what's up guys? Welcome back. Patrick here, moving on to the next question. So a wagon is pulled a distance of 270 meters by a force of 140 newtons that's applied at an angle of 20 degrees to the road. How much work is done? Well, work, a very general formula for it is basically the force applied on an object times the distance that it moves. So we're going to be using this formula to solve this question. Now let's draw a diagram before we start plugging stuff into this formula just to see what is going on. So let's say that this is the road here. And let's say that we have a wagon on a road. Now I'm just going to draw a box to represent this wagon. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to draw a wagon. So this box here is the wagon. And let's say that there's some kind of rope attached to the wagon. So let's say the rope is someone is pulling this wagon with this rope, and then this wagon is going to move 270 meters. Now this rope here is being pulled at a force of 140 newtons, and it makes an angle of 20 degrees with the road here. Now whenever you're calculating work, you want to make sure that where the wagon is traveling, you want the force to be parallel to that direction. So notice here how the wagon is traveling horizontally, but it is being pulled at sort of this angle here, at sort of this slant force. So what we got to do is we got to take this force and we got to break it down into components. So we could break it down into a horizontal component and a vertical component. And actually we don't even need the vertical component. We just need this horizontal component. And then this force, this horizontal force, we could then plug into this formula and then multiply it by this distance, because now that force is parallel to the direction that the wagon is going, versus this force wasn't. It was slanted. So notice that this is a right angle triangle here, and we're going to be solving for this force. Let's call it x. So notice that we can use cos on this. So we could say cos 20 degrees is equal to the magnitude of x over the hypotenuse, which is 140 newtons. So basically that horizontal force is 140 newtons times cos of 20. And when you do that calculation, you end up getting 131.56 newtons. So that's the horizontal force, and now we could plug that force into here, into that work formula. Now you don't actually have to plug in this, you could actually just plug in this expression, so that's what I'm going to do. So 140 newtons cos 20. So that there represents like the force. And then the distance being pulled is 270 meters. So here you could have inputted this. I'm just going to keep it at 140 cos 20 just to give a more exact answer. And when you plug that in your calculator, you end up getting 35,520.38 joules of work being done on this wagon. That's your final answer, right? So when you get a question like this, getting asked for the work, then you want to make sure that that force that you're plugging into this formula is always going to be parallel to the way that an object is moving. So a lot of times you'll get a force at an angle, then you're going to have to calculate this force over here, that parallel force, and then that's the force that you plug into this formula, do the calculation, and you get your final answer.